World's cheapest Just For Highball, a whiskey from the Koalong Distillery in China. What's it like? And, well, what's it like? Let's get into it on WhiskyWhistle. Hey, my whiskey people, thanks for joining in. I'm Mark, your host here on WhiskyWhistle, bringing you great content, whiskey and spirits content since 2015. It's actually the 10th anniversary, can you believe it? Thanks a lot. Thank you so much to those who have been following since the beginning, and also to those who have just tuned in. Well, what have I got here? I have a real oddball. This is quite possibly the cheapest whiskey in the world, if not one of them. It is a blended grain whiskey from the Koalong Distillery in China in the Hunan Province, and it's a Korean specialty, and it's been imported especially for a company called Lincoln Corporation. So that's pretty interesting. It's 40% ABV, and you can see here it says blended grain whiskey. I hope that's zooming in there. And on the back we find that, well, as I said, it's made by the Luoyang Koalong Liquor Distillery in China. A fairly new distillery. You can find single malts from the Koalong Distillery up in Europe, probably also in China, I would hope. I haven't seen any here yet, either here in Korea or on Canadian shelves. And anyway, so there's another really interesting thing here. First, I want to talk about the price. Here is my receipt, and right over here you can see the price that I paid. 5,980 Korean won. Let me repeat that. 5,980 Korean won. That's after a bottle deposit, I do believe. So that gives you an idea of the price. Exchange rate, change that into American currency. You're looking at about $4 and something for 700 milliliters at 80 proof. Again, about $6 in Canadian currency. Another really interesting thing, perhaps it's a frustrating thing for me, which is right here. I'll draw your attention to the back of the bottle right here. It says that it contains caramel color number 1. That's E150A. Amongst the colors, it's the best color that is suitable for food consumption. Anyway, it contains 0.42%. In other words, a little bit less than 0.5%. And again, in other words, I think I wrote this down here. Where did I write it down? In this bottle, almost 3 milliliters of caramel color has been added. So that's essentially all the color that you see there, or the majority of. What about the age? Well, it's apparently 2 years old. Now it says that it's a blended grain whiskey. I would assume that that means probably rice spirit, possibly wheat. I'm pretty sure there's an abundance of wheat in China as well. Wheat whiskey, could it be corn? I guess it could be. Somehow I think wheat is cheaper than corn in China. Anyway, so let's say that it's a wheat distillate. And that distillery, the Koalong Distillery, they have pot stills for single malt. And they also have column stills, at least one column still, a continuous column still for a single grain whiskey or whatever they want to make. Now, as to why it says blended and not single grain, I would think that would mean that there is maybe distillate A containing wheat, for an example, plus distillate B, possibly containing rice or a mixture of the both, and then blended in-house there. So although it's a blended grain, it's all at the same distillery, would be my thinking as to why they're calling it a blended grain. Probably, if it does use another distillery, there should be something nearby, but that would make no sense, to be honest. Anyway, so that's the idea here. And I was reading online. I've got the website. I will connect the website into the description. I was reading that that this is 2 years old and matured in bourbon cask barrels, bourbon barrels. Thank you very much, Mark. Okay, so very interesting. Now we will get right into this, but before that, how about you subscribe? I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel, especially if we're on the same wavelength, and hit that bell so that you, and hit that bell to queue up the Whiskey Whistle content in your YouTube feed. And also, I'd love it if you would check out my Patreon, Whiskey Whistle Crew. I'll put the link at the end of the video. That you'll be able to click on it. Also, it's in the description below as well. Anyway, so please check me out there. Whiskey Whistle is 100% independent. And let me just read what I wrote here because it's a little bit silly. So jump aboard, grab an oar, and help row the channel further. There we go. All right, so I haven't cracked it yet. As you might have guessed, it is a PET bottle, and it's got is it polypropylene? I'm not sure, but it's got a plastic cap. Nothing wrong with that. Obviously, the shelf life would be far less than a glass bottle, but I don't imagine too many of these will sit around, and I don't think they're going to be in anybody's collection for 10 or 20 years and then sell it at auction. This is not the type of whiskey that it is. But let's open it up. I want to check out the smell from the bottle. I want to try it neat, and then just as the bottle suggests, I want to try it in a highball together with you. Really doesn't have the feel even of a nice screw cap. And first impressions from the bottle. It smells a little bit sweet. What's really encouraging is that it does not have any off-putting scents. So that's good news. That's really good news. Let's get that poured. Just for Highball from the Koalong Distillery into my WhiskyWhistle Glencairn glass. Okay, I went a little bit deep. That's probably about an ounce and a half. But, okay. Is there any purpose in checking out the color? And I should put the cap on because it's a rather light bottle. And if you ever get any whiskey or spirits or anything in this type of a bottle, it really doesn't have the stability of a glass bottle or maybe a ceramic flagon. Okay, so you can have a look there at the color. Very rich amber. Now, I mean, it's all fake. How light would this be without this color? It would be a very pale, clear, like a straw kind of a color. in my opinion. All right. So what are we going to do? On the channel, let me just read what I had wrote yet again. We're going to check out this whiskey. We'd already checked the color. We're going to check out neat, the neat smells and tastes. And then I'm going to add a little bit of water to see if that improves anything. It might not, being 40%, but keep in mind that blenders typically reduce the alcohol to about 23 or 25% in order to get a better sense of how it smells and how it tastes. So we might find some improvements. Who knows? We'll find out. Finally, at the end of the video, I will give a WhiskyWhistle whiskey score. And I will clearly state, why am I reading this? I don't know why I'm reading this. I'll clearly state if I think that this bottle is worth getting or not. Okay, keep in mind, it's $6. So let's get into the nose. It definitely smells like grain whiskey, single grain, blended grain. Some of the Canadian whiskeys, which would be 3 years old. So this is 2, not far off. The smell is very, very light. A little bit of light citrus. A little bit of light, bourbony, sweet vanilla-like scents. Super light though. This, in my opinion, really hasn't spent enough time in a barrel, but of course that's the way that I am biased with this channel for sure. Is 2 years old too young? Well, you've got USA where you can have straight bourbon whiskey, straight rye, straight whatever at 2 years old if they put the age on the bottle. You can have just bourbon that is a week or a month old. So I guess no, 2 years isn't too young. It's too young for the European Union, where 3 years is the minimum. It's technically too young for Canada, but you can put 1 out of 11 barrels at 2 years old into the whiskey and not say anything. As I'm sitting here talking and playing with it, there's a light generic fruitiness, but it's a real reach. And you've really got to be gentle. It's a little bit ethanol forward because it just hasn't had time in barrel. So then the question is the distillate good? I would hope so, but let's find out. Cheers. Kanbae, maybe, I think that's right. In Korean, kanbae. While the nose is very, very light, the palate certainly is much more pronounced. Some nuttiness. It's quite sweet, and I can see why they're calling it Just For Highball. And it's funny, now that I've had my lips in there, or maybe because the whiskey's been jumbled around in the glass, I do get a little bit more of the nose. There is a buttery type of a feeling. So maybe there is some corn in there. Buttery, soft. To be honest, pretty well made for 2 years. A little bit of something like a underripe strawberry or underripe raspberries, underripe red fruits. And yet they're still sweet. Maybe you sprinkle some sugar on to make up for that underripeness. Now that I'm smacking my lips, I'm thinking that this actually is corn, a corn distillate. It could be corn and wheat, but the finish is very, very corn forward. At 40%, it's not really lacking. And for this type of whiskey that's that young, I think if it were stronger, I think that it would be a lot harsher. So I want to try adding a little bit of water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so about 1 milliliter of water, which is roughly, that's I was going to say that's how much caramel color is in there, but no, it's probably about 3 drops per ounce, roughly. So far, I'm mildly impressed, and I think that this is a great budget whiskey for highballs, or you can try drinking it straight. With water, I get more of a corn note on the nose. And I was going to say that there was a YouTuber who reviewed this, and they thought that it smelled and tasted like paiju, like goryangju in Korean. And no, it's not nearly as fragrant as goryangju, and the taste also is a lot more like Canadian corn whiskey, quote unquote rye in some cases, and very young bourbon that's been made well. That actually happens to have, maybe it's more like straight corn whiskey. That would be more like it, where you have a cask that's not it doesn't have to be, I think it can't be, charred as far as I recollect. Anyway, so something like straight corn whiskey, or like a very mild bourbon that has maybe like char number 1 and 2 years or even 1 year. Oh yeah, much more corn on the nose now. Sweet corn. Funnily, it doesn't smell like field corn, which is the predominant kind of corn that people here eat as a snack. That's been steamed for so long that it breaks down the longer chain carbohydrates, and it actually becomes very sweet. buttery, toffee. The ethanol with that 1 milliliter of water added, the ethanol has essentially dissipated. It's drinkable. It's not bad. Okay, final sip here. Toffee notes, corn notes, buttery, little bit of heat. The finish is where this really lacks. It's astringent, generically sweet and bitter, and it really trails off into unenjoyable territory. But you put it together and you've got a not bad nose, especially with water added, and I think that's what's going to come through in the highball. Then you've got a palate that is buttery and sweet and toffee-like, with some grain flavors of corn coming through, and it's not bad. If I were broke, this would be something that I would definitely have. And if I have guests that are coming just to drink, this might be the thing, because it's totally budget friendly. Anyway, so now let's get into making our highball together. And I'm going to start with some ice, which has tempered, so that should be good. A few of them are stuck together. I don't know why I'm using chopsticks. I think I wanted to show off my chalk sticking. There we go, chalk sticking skills. Okay, maybe just one more. Yeah. That looks good, doesn't it? Okay, so yeah, I'll put this in. No, I won't. I want to keep that for a little bit longer. Okay, I'm going to do 2 ounces. So 1, 2 ounces. And I'll give it a bit of a stir. Cool it down. Yeah, and with the ice in there, virtually no smells at all. Something slightly sour. Okay. Oh, I think I want, no garnish first. I really prefer the flavor of whiskey. Okay. This is Seagram Club Soda. Okay, a little bit of a swirl like that. And there we go. Just for highball. There's the highball for just for highball. Yep. Does not smell like whiskey at all, because it is barely seen an active cask. That's not first fill. Some of the casks might be second fill and some of them might be third. Okay, the palate. Cheers. Slange. The corn, the butteriness carries through. It's not very sweet. Now here in Korea, there's a tendency to make highballs with not club soda, but with tonic, which would add some sugar, which I think this actually needs. And I put in a lot of whiskey. There's a faint corn sweet flavor, but it's not strong enough just to handle with club soda and the whiskey. Let's add a pretty little garnish. There, isn't that nice? Look at that. If you just add the lemon zest, you'll avoid adding too much acid to your cocktail. Okay, so now it's got something to smell. The lemon. Adds a little bit of fruitiness. Okay, kombe. Not bad. Not my favorite. It's not bad. They have a suggestion for a cocktail calling for club soda and honey and a little bit of lemon juice. And I can see where they're going with that. In that case, it's really just a generic cocktail. You might have a little bit of that corn coming through. If anything, it's refreshing. And with 2 ounces in this, and if you finish that in 10, 20, 30 minutes, and then you order another, you're going to be doing very well if you're looking simply to enjoy some libationary, some libationary time with your friends or by yourself. Very corn forward. Back to the neat with a little bit of water for the Just For Highball. A little bit more scent is coming through now. Sweet, buttery corn, toffees, and vanillas. Stronger sweet corn, maybe a little bit of, what's that called? That candy corn, a little bit of candy corn mixed in with real corn. What would that be like? Well, folks, what am I going to give to Just For Highball? This Koalong Distillery blended grain for the Korean market, thanks to Lincoln Corporation. There we go, Lincoln Corporation. I can't give it beyond 80, but I think it deserves a solid 70. 70 out of 100 is the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Just For Highball. 40% ABV, 2 years old. The only big issues that I have with this are that there's too much color that's been added. That's number one. And number two, it simply needs more time in barrel to give it a little bit more of a scent, so that when your customers come and they're enjoying their highball, they get that sense of smell added to the experience. If I didn't know, I would say that this was water with a, I don't know, a little bit of something added. I wonder if you make it stronger, if that would help. Not really. Anyway, 70 out of 100, $6, and you get something that has a nice taste, a nice corn-forward sweet taste. Has an innocuous, light, okay nose with a relatively short finish that at least introduces you to Chinese whiskey. So here we are, the first Chinese whiskey on WhiskyWhistle, 70 points out of 100. Let me know what you think of this whiskey. Leave me a comment. If this were on the shelf at your nearest liquor store for round about that price, $6, let's say no more than 10, would you grab it? And if you found, as I have discovered, that, hey, you know what? It's not bad. Would it be something that you would buy again? But I think that's really a party whiskey. And it seems to be selling very well here. So I don't have a hat on, but my hat off to the Lincoln Corporation, well done, and for the Koalong Liquor Distillery in Liuyang in the province of Hunan. Well done, keep it going. Let's see some more products with higher strengths and no color added, and that are unchill filtered. Wouldn't that be nice? So my first whiskey review in my after my 10th anniversary. And what's next? We're going to have something higher end, and that is going to be Ben Romick 21-year-old. What'll that be like? And what else have I got coming up? I have a Korean whiskey from the Koalong Distillery, formerly known as what is it called? Three Societies Distillery. I think they've changed their name altogether. I have no idea what's going on in my kitchen. I will find out. And then if I can reach really quick, I've got Wolfburn, their cask strength Lang Skip. That'll be coming up. And another one I'd like to just reach over here and grab. And this is the most expensive Korean soju I have ever purchased. What will it be like? It's called Mujak, and it's 53%, which is traditionally the highest strength soju that was made. And let me just show you the bottle. This has been aged for 5 years. There it is. So that's what's coming up. Thanks a lot for joining. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell, and don't forget, don't forget to check out WhiskyWhistle Crew on Patreon. I think it's up here now, so you can just click on that, okay? All right, we'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.